Welcome back, everybody, to episode 8 of Sip, Read, Repeat. We are getting ready to pick up right after Nick has received his text saying, I'm outside. I'm assuming, I don't know what to assume because he said something disposable. So let's see what's happening. Let's go. Let's dive right in. She was standing there in the orange. Oh, by the way, I'm drinking a mix. I've been doing this recently. I got Liquid Death Rest in Peach, which is like a peach tea, and I got some ginger ale, some diet ginger ale. So I haven't tasted it yet. Delicious. I've been mixing my sparkling water flavors with like a diet soda. Give it a little kick. But anyway, here we go. She was standing there in the orange glow of the streetlight, in a flimsy sundress, her hair wavy from the humidity. Andy. She rushed through the doorway, her arms splayed to hug me, and I hissed, "Wait, wait!" and shut the door just before she wrapped herself around me. She pressed her cheek against my chest, and I put my hand on her bare back and closed my eyes. I felt a queasy mixture of relief and horror when you finally stop and itch and realize it's because you've ripped a hole in your skin. I have a mistress. Dumb motherfucker. That's me saying it, sorry. Now is the part where I have to tell you I have a mistress and you stop liking me. If you like me to begin with. I really didn't. He seemed like a dick. I have a pretty, young, very young mistress, and her name is Andy. I know, it's bad. Baby, why the fuck haven't you called me? She said, her face still pressed against me. I know, sweetheart. I know. You just can't imagine. It's been a nightmare. How did you find me? She held on to me. Your house was dark, so I figured try goes. Andy knew my habits. Knew my habitats. We've been together a while. I have a pretty, very young mistress, and we've been together a while. What a dumb motherfucker this guy is. I was worried about you, Nick. Frantic. I'm sitting at Maddie's house, and the TV is, just on. And all of a sudden on the TV, I see this, guy who looks like you talking about his missing wife. And then I realize it is you. Can you imagine how freaked out I was? And you didn't even try to reach me? I wonder how young. I'm assuming based on her speech pattern, she's in her mid-20s. Or even younger than that. I called you. Don't say anything. Sit tight. Don't say anything till we talk. That's an order. That's not you trying to reach me. I haven't been alone much. People have been around me all the time. Amy's parents, Go, the police. I breathed into her hair. Amy's just gone? She asked. She's just gone. I pulled myself from her and sat down on the couch, and she sat beside me, her leg pressed against mine, her arm brushing against mine. Someone took her. Nick, are you okay? Her chocolatey hair fell in waves over her chin, collarbone, breasts, and I watched one single strand shake in the stream of her breathing. No, not really. I gave her the shh sign and pointed toward the hallway. My sister. We sat side by side, silent, the TV flickering the old cop show, the men in fedoras making an arrest. I felt her hand wriggle into mine. She leaned into me as if we were settling in for a movie night, some lazy, carefree couple, and then she pulled my face toward her and kissed me. Andy, no, I whispered. Yes, I need you. She kissed me again and climbed onto my lap, where she straddled me, her cotton dress slipping up around her knees, one of her flip-flops falling to the floor. Nick, I've been so worried about you. I need to feel your hands on me. That's all I've been thinking about. I'm scared. Andy was a physical girl, and that's not code for it's all about the sex. She was a hugger, a toucher. She was prone to running her fingers through my hair or down my back in a friendly scratch. She got reassurance and comfort from touching. And yes, fine. She also liked sex. With one quick tug, she yanked down the top of her sundress and moved my hands onto her breasts. My canine loyal lust surfaced. I want to fuck you, I almost said aloud. You are warm, my wife said in my ear. I lurched away. I was so tired, the room was swimming. Nick? Her bottom lip was wet with my spit. What? Are we not okay? Is it because of Amy? Andy had always felt young. She was 23, knew it. Of course she felt young. But then I realized how grotesquely young she was, how irresponsibly, disastrously young she was, ruinously young. Hearing my wife's name on her lips always jarred me. She said it a lot. She liked to discuss Amy, as if Amy were the heroine on a nighttime soap opera. Andy never made Amy the enemy. She made her a character. She asked questions all the time about our life together, about Amy. What did you guys do together in New York? Like, what did you do on the weekends? Andy's mouth went oh once I told her about going to the opera. You went to the opera? What did she wear? Full length? And a wrap or a fur? And her jewelry and her hair? Also, what were Amy's friends like? What did we talk about? What was Amy like? Like, really like? Was she like the girl in the books? Perfect? It was Andy's favorite bedtime story. Amy. My sister's in the other room, sweetheart. You shouldn't even be here. God, I want you here, but you really shouldn't have come, babe, until we know what we're dealing with. You are brilliant, you are witty, you are warm. Now kiss me. Andy remained atop me, her breast out, nipples going hard from the air conditioning. Baby, what we're dealing with right now is I need to make sure we're okay. That's all I need. She pressed against me, warm and lush. That's all I need. Please, Nick, I'm freaked out. I know you. I know you don't want to talk right now, and that's fine. But I need you to be with me. And I wanted to kiss her then, the way I had that very first time. Our teeth bumping, her face tilted to mine, her hair tickling my arms, a wet and tonguey kiss. Me thinking of nothing but the kiss, because it would be dangerous to think of anything but how good it felt. The only thing that kept me from dragging her into the bedroom now was not how wrong it was. It had been many shades of wrong all along. But that now, it was actually dangerous. And I mean, that makes sense, right? If your wife has gone missing and you are potentially accused of killing her, having a mistress is probably the biggest motive there is. I said it before, I'll say it again. Dumb motherfucker. And because there was Amy, finally, there was Amy, that voice that had made its home in my ear for half a decade, my wife's voice. But now it wasn't chiding, it was sweet again. I hated that 3 little notes from my wife could make me feel this way, soggy and sentimental. I had absolutely no right to be sentimental. Andy was burrowing into me, and I was wondering if the police had Go's house under surveillance, if I should be listening for a knock at the door. I have a very young, very pretty mistress. He keeps stressing this. It's kind of stupid. My mother had always told her kids, if you're about to do something and you want to know if it's a bad idea, imagine seeing it printed in the paper for all the world to see. Nick Dunn, a one-time magazine writer, still pride-wounded from a 2010 layoff, agreed to teach a journalism class for North Carthage Junior College. The older married man promptly exploited his position by launching a torrid fuckfest of an affair with one of his impressionable young students. I was the embodiment of every writer's worst fear, a cliche. Now let me string still more cliches together for your amusement. It happened gradually. I never meant to hurt anyone. I got in deeper than I thought I would. But it was more than a fling. It was more than an ego boost. I really love Andy. I do. You love the sex, my guy. The class I was teaching, How to Launch a Magazine Career, contained 14 students of varying degrees of skill. All girls. I'd say women, but I think girls is factually correct. They all wanted to work in magazines. They weren't smudgy newsprint girls. They were glossies. They'd seen the movie. They pictured themselves dashing around Manhattan, latte in one hand, cell phone in the other, adorably breaking a designer heel while hailing a cab and falling into the arms of a charming, disarming soulmate with winningly floppy hair. They had no clue about how foolish, how ignorant their choice of a major was. I've been planning on telling them as much, using my layoff as a cautionary tale, although I had no interest in being the tragic figure. I pictured delivering the story nonchalantly, jokingly. No big deal. More time to work on my novel. Then I spent the first class answering so many awestruck questions, and I turned into such a preening gas bag, such a needy fuck, that I couldn't bear to tell the real story. The call into the managing editor's office on the second round of layoffs, the hiking of that doomed path down the long rows of cubicles, all eyes shifting toward me, dead man walking. Me still hoping I was going to be told something different, that the magazine needed me now more than ever. Yes, it would be a buck up speech, an all hands on deck speech. But no, my boss just said, I guess you know, unfortunately, why I called you in here, rubbing his eyes under his glasses to show how weary and dejected he was. I wanted to feel like a shiny, cool winner, so I didn't tell my students about my demise. I told them we had a family illness that required my attention here, which was true, yes. I told myself entirely true and very heroic. And pretty, freckled Andy sat a few feet in front of me, wide-set blue eyes under chocolatey waves of hair, cushiony lips, parted just a bit, ridiculously large, real breasts, and long, thin legs and arms. An alien fuck doll of a girl, it must be said, as different from my elegant, patrician wife as could be. And Andy was radiating body heat and lavender, clicking notes in her laptop, asking questions in a husky voice like, how do you get a source to trust you, to open up to you? And I thought to myself, right then, where the fuck did this girl come from? Is this a joke? You ask yourself, why? I've been faithful to Amy always. I was the guy who left the bar early if a woman was getting too flirty, if her touch was feeling too nice. I was not a cheater. I didn't like cheaters. Dishonest, disrespectful, petty, spoiled. I had never succumbed, but that was back when I was happy. I hate to think the answer is that easy, but I had been happy all my life, and now I was not, and Andy was there, lingering, after class, asking me questions about myself that Amy never had, not lately, making me feel like a worthwhile man, not the idiot who lost his job, the dope who forgot to put the toilet seat down, the blunderer who just could never quite get it right, whatever it was. Andy brought me an apple one day, a Red Delicious, title of the memoir of our affair if I were to write one. She asked me to give her story an early look. It was a profile of a stripper at a St. Louis club, and it read like a Penthouse forum piece. And Andy began eating my apple while I read it, leaning over my shoulder, the juice sitting ludicrously on her lip. And then I thought, holy shit, this girl is trying to seduce me. Foolishly shocked. An aging Benjamin Braddock. I don't know who that is. It worked. I began thinking of Andy as an escape, an opportunity, an option. I'd come home and find Amy in a tight ball on the sofa, Amy staring at the wall, silent, never saying the first word to me, always waiting, a perpetual game of ice breaking, a constant mental challenge. What will make Amy happy today? I would think, Andy wouldn't do that. As if I knew Andy. Andy would laugh at that joke. Andy would like that story. Andy was a nice, pretty, bosomy Irish girl from my hometown, unassuming and jolly. Andy sat in the front row of my class, and she looked soft, and she looked interested. When I thought about Andy, my stomach didn't hurt the way it did with my wife, the constant dread of returning to my own home, where I wasn't welcome. I began imagining how it might happen. I began craving her touch. Yes, it was like that, just like a lyric from a bad 80s single. I craved her touch. I craved touch in general, because my wife avoided mine. At home, she slipped past me like a fish, sliding just out of grazing distance in the kitchen or the stairwell. We watched TV silently on our two sofa cushions, as separate as if they were life rafts. In bed, she turned away from me, pushed blankets and sheets between us. I once woke up in the night, and knowing she was asleep, pulled aside her halter strap a bit, and pressed my cheek and palm against her bare shoulder. I couldn't get back to sleep that night. I was so disgusted with myself. I got out of bed and masturbated in the shower, picturing Amy, the lusty way she used to look at me, those heavy-lidded moonrise eyes taking me in, making me feel seen. When I was done, I sat down in the bathtub and stared at the drain through the spray. My penis lay pathetically along my left thigh, like some small animal washed ashore. I sat at the bottom of the bathtub, humiliated, trying not to cry. So it happened. in a strange, sudden snowstorm in early April. Not April of this year, April of last year. I was working the bar alone because Go was having a mom night. We took turns not working, staying home with our mother and watching bad TV. Our mom was going fast. She wouldn't last a year. Not even close. I was actually feeling okay right at that moment. My mom and Go were snuggled up at home watching an Annette Funicello beach movie, and the bar had a busy, lively night. One of those nights where everyone seemed to have come off a good day. Pretty girls were nice to homely guys. People were buying rounds for strangers just because. It was festive. And then it was the end of the night. Time to close everybody out. I was about to lock the door when Andy flung it wide and stepped in, almost on top of me, and I could smell the light beer sweetness on her breath, the scent of wood smoke in her hair. I paused for that jarring moment when you try to process someone you've only seen in one setting, but them in a new context, or put them in a new context. Andy in the bar. Okay. She laughed a pirate wrench laugh and pushed me aside. Excuse me, pirate wench laugh and pushed me back inside. I just had the most fantastically awful date, and you have to have a drink with me. Snowflakes gathered in the dark waves of her hair. Her sweet scattering of freckles glowed. Her cheeks were bright pink, as if someone had double slapped her. She has this great voice, this fuzzy duckling voice, that starts out ridiculously cute and ends up completely sexy. Please, Nick, I've got to get that bad date taste out of my mouth. I remember us laughing and thinking what a relief it was to be with a woman and hear her laugh. She was wearing jeans and a cashmere v-neck. She is one of those girls who look better in jeans than in a dress. Her face, her body is casual in the best way. I assumed my position behind the bar, and she slid onto a bar stool, her eyes assessing all the liquor bottles behind me. What do you want, lady? Surprise me, she said. Boo, I said, the word leaving my lips, kiss puckered. Now, surprising with the drink, she leaned forward so her cleavage was leveraged against the bar, her breasts pushed upward. She wore a pendant on a thin gold chain. The pendant slid between her breasts, down under her sweater. Don't be that guy, I thought. The guy who pants over where the pendant ends. What flavor you like? I asked. Whatever you give me, I'll like. It was that line that caught me, the simplicity of it. The idea that I could do something and it would make a woman happy and it would be easy. Whatever you give me, I'll like. If I felt an overwhelming wave of relief, and then I knew I didn't love Amy anymore. I don't love my wife anymore, I thought, turning to grab 2 tumblers. Not even a little bit. I am wiped clean of love. I am spotless. I made my favorite drink. Christmas morning, hot coffee and cold peppermint schnapps. I had one with her, and when we shivered and laughed, that big whoop of a laugh, I poured us another round. We drank together an hour past closing time, and I mentioned the word wife 3 times because I was looking at Andy and picturing taking her clothes off. A warning for her, the least I could do. I have a wife. Do with that what you will. She sat in front of me, her chin in her hands, smiling up at me. Walk me home, she said. She'd mentioned before how close she lived to downtown, how she needed to stop by the bar some night and say hello. And did she mention how close she lived to the bar? My mind had been primed. Many times I'd mentally strolled the few blocks toward the bland brick apartments where she lived. So when I suddenly was out the door walking her home, it didn't seem unusual at all. There wasn't that warning bell that told me, this is unusual. This is not what we do. I walked her home, against the wind, snow flying everywhere, helping her rewrap her red knitted scarf once, twice, and on the 3rd time, I was tucking her in properly, and our faces were close, and her cheeks were a merry holiday sledding pink. And it was the kind of thing that could never happen in another 100 nights. But that night it was possible. The conversation, the booze, the storm, the scarf. We grabbed each other at the same time, me pushing her up against a tree for better leverage, the spindly branches dumping a pile of snow on us, a stunning comical moment that only made me more insistent on touching her, touching everything at once, one hand up inside her sweater and the other between her legs, and her letting me. She pulled back from me, her teeth chattering. Come up with me. I paused. Come up with me, she said again. I want to be with you. The sex wasn't that great. Not the first time. We were two bodies used to different rhythms, never quite getting the hang of each other. And it had been so long since I'd been inside a woman. I came first, quickly, and kept moving. 30 crucial seconds as I began wilting inside her, just long enough to get her taken care of before I went entirely slack. So it was nice, but disappointing. Anticlimactic. The way girls must feel when they give up their virginity. That was what all the fuss was about. But I liked how she wrapped herself around me. And I liked that she was as soft as I'd imagined. New skin. Young. I thought disgracefully, picturing Amy in her constant lotioning, sitting in bed and slapping away at herself angrily. I went into Andy's bathroom, took a piss, looked at myself in the mirror, and made myself say it. You are a cheater. You have failed one of the most basic male tests. You are not a good man. And when that didn't bother me, I thought, you're really not a good man. The horrifying thing was, if the sex had been outrageously mind-blowing, that might have been my sole indiscretion. But it was only decent. And now I was a cheater, and I couldn't ruin my record of fidelity on something merely average. So I knew there would be a next. I didn't promise myself never again. And then the next was very, very good. And the next after that was great. Soon, Andy became a physical counterpoint to all things Amy. She laughed with me and made me laugh. She didn't immediately contradict me or second guess me. She never scowled at me. She was easy. It was all so fucking easy. And I thought, love makes you want to be a better man. Right? But maybe love, real love, also gives you permission to just be the man you are. I was going to tell Amy. I knew it had to happen. I continued not to tell Amy for months and months, and then more months. Most of it was cowardice. I couldn't bear to have the conversation, to have to explain myself. I couldn't imagine having to discuss a divorce with Rand and Mary Beth, as they certainly would insert themselves into the fray. But part of it, in truth, was my strong streak of pragmatism. It was almost grotesque how practical, self-serving I could be. I hadn't asked Amy for a divorce, in part because Amy's money had financed the bar. She basically owned it. She would certainly take it back. And I couldn't bear to look at my twin trying to be brave as she lost another couple years of her life. So I let myself drift on the miserable situation, assuming that at some point Amy would take charge. Amy would demand a divorce. Then I would get to be the good guy. He's a dickhead. By the way, this desire to escape the situation without blame, was despicable. The more despicable I became, the more I craved Andy, who knew that I wasn't as bad as I seemed. If my story were published in the paper for strangers to read, Amy will divorce you. Who knew it wasn't bad as I seemed if my story were published in the paper for strangers to read. Amy will divorce you, I kept thinking. She can't let it linger on much longer. But as spring faded away and summer came, then fall, then winter, and I became a cheating man of all seasons, a cheat with a pleasantly impatient mistress, it became clear that something would have to be done. I mean, I love you, Nick, Andy said, here, surreally, on my sister's sofa. No matter what happens, I don't really know what else to say. I feel pretty, she threw her hands up, stupid. Don't feel stupid, I said. I don't know what to say either. There's nothing to say. You can say that you love me no matter what happens. I thought, I can't say that out loud anymore. I said it once or twice, a spitty mumble against her neck, homesick for something. But the words were out there, and so was a lot more. I thought then of the trail we'd left, our busy, semi-hidden love affair that I hadn't worried enough about. If her building had a security camera, I was on it. I bought a disposable phone just for her calls, but those voicemails and texts went to her very permanent cell. I'd written her a dirty Valentine that I could already see splash across the news, me rhyming besot with twat. That's funny. And more. Andy was 23. I assume my words, my voice, even photos of me were captured on various electronica. I'd flipped through the photos on her phone one night, jealous, possessive, curious, and seen plenty of shots of an ex or two smiling proudly in her bed. And I assumed at one point I joined the club. I kind of wanted to join the club, and for some reason that hadn't worried me, even though it could be downloaded and sent to a million people in the space of a vengeful second. This is an extremely weird situation, Andy. I just need you to be patient. She pulled back from me. You can't say you love me no matter what happens? I love you, Andy. I do. I held her eyes. Saying I love you was dangerous right now, but so was not saying it. Fuck me then, she whispered. She began tugging at. Oh, fuck me then, she whispered. She began tugging at my belt. We have to be careful right now. It's a bad, bad place for me if the police find out about us. It looks beyond bad. That's what you're worried about? I'm a man with a missing wife and a secret girlfriend. Yeah, it looks bad. It looks criminal. That makes it sound sleazy. Her breasts were still out. People don't know us, Andy. They will think it's sleazy. God, it's like some bad noir movie. I smiled. I'd introduced Andy to noir, to Bogart and The Big Sleep, Double Indemnity, all the classics. It was one of the things I liked best about us, that I could show her things. Why don't we just tell the police, she said. Wouldn't that be better? No. Andy, don't even think about it. No. They're going to find out. Why? Why would they? Have you told anyone about us, sweetheart? She gave me a twitchy look. I felt bad. This was not how she thought the night would go. She had been excited to see me. She had been imagining a lusty reunion, physical reassurance, and I was busy covering my ass. Sweetheart, I'm sorry. I just need to know, I said. Not by name. What do you mean, not by name? I mean, she said, pulling up her dress finally. My friends, my mom, they know I'm seeing someone, but not by name, and not by any kind of description, right? I said it more urgently than I wanted to, feeling like I was holding up a collapsing ceiling. Two people know about this, Andy. You and me. If you help me, if you love me, it will just be us knowing, and then the police will never find out. She traced a finger along my jawline. And what if they ever find Amy? You and I, Andy, will be together no matter what happens, but only if we're careful. If we're not careful, it's possible it looks bad enough that I can go to prison. Maybe she ran off with someone, she said, leaning her cheek against my shoulder. Maybe. I could feel her girl brain buzzing, turning Amy's disappearance into a frothy, scandalous romance, ignoring any reality that didn't suit the narrative. She didn't run off. It's much more serious than that. I put a finger under her chin so she looked at me. Andy, Andy, I need you to take this very seriously, okay? Of course, I'm taking it seriously. But I need to be able to talk to you more often, to see you. I'm freaking out, Nick. We just need to sit tight for now. I gripped both her shoulders so she had to look at me. My wife is missing, Andy. But you don't even... I knew what she was about to say. You don't even love her. But she was smart enough to stop. She put her arms around me. Look, I don't want to fight. I know you care about Amy. And I know you must be really worried. I am too. I know you are under... I can't imagine the pressure. So I'm fine keeping an even lower profile than I did before, if that's possible. But remember, this affects me too. I need to hear from you, once a day. Just call when you can, even if it's only for a few seconds so I can hear your voice. Once a day, Nick. Every single day. I'll go crazy otherwise. I'll go crazy. She smiled at me, whispered, now kiss me. I kissed her very softly. I love you, she said, and I kissed her neck and mumbled my reply. We sat in silence, the TV flickering. I let my eyes close. Now kiss me. Who said that? I lurched awake just after 5 a.m. Go was up. I could hear her down the hall, running water in the bath. I shook Andy. It's 5 a.m. It's 5 a.m. And with promises of love and phone calls, I hustled her toward the door like a shameful one-nighter. Remember, call every day, Andy whispered. I heard the bathroom door open. Every day, I said, and ducked behind the door as I opened it and Andy left. When I turned back around, Go was standing in the living room. Her mouth had dropped open, stunned, but the rest of her body was in full fury. Hands on hips, eyebrows V'd. Nick, you fucking idiot. Glad she said it. Amy Elliott Dunn, July 21st, 2011. Diary entry. Not gonna lie, this drink is really hitting. I am such an idiot. Sometimes I look at myself and I think, no wonder Nick find me ridiculous, frivolous, spoiled, compared to his mom. Maureen is dying. She hides her disease behind big smiles and roomy embroidered sweatshirts, answering every question about her health with, "Oh, I'm just fine, but how are you doing, sweetie?" She is dying. She is not going to admit it. Not yet. So yesterday, she phones me in the morning, asks me if I want to go on a field trip with her and her friends. She is having a good day. She wants to get out of the house as much as she can, and I agree immediately, even though I knew they'd be doing nothing that particularly interested me. Maybe I read it wrong. Pinnacle? I don't know what that is. Bridge, some church activity that usually requires sorting things. We'll be there in 15 minutes, she says. Wear short sleeves. Cleaning. It had to be cleaning. Something requiring elbow grease. I throw on a short sleeve shirt, and in exactly 15 minutes, I am opening the door to Maureen, bald under a knitted cap, giggling with her two friends. They are all wearing matching applique t-shirts, all bells and ribbons with the words "the Plasma Maz" airbrushed across their chests. I think they've started a doo-wop group. But then we all climb into Rose's old Chrysler. Old. One of those where the front seat goes all the way across. A grandmotherly car that smells of lady cigarettes. And off we merrily go to the Plasma Donation Center. We're Mondays and Thursdays, Rose explains, looking at me in the rear view. Oh, I say. How else is one reply? Oh, those are awesome plasma days. You're allowed to give twice a week, says Maureen, the bells on her sweatshirt jingling. The first time you get $20. The second time you get $30. That's why everyone's in such a good mood today. You'll love it, Vicky says. Everyone just sits and chats. It's like a beauty salon. Maureen squeezes my arm and says quietly, I can't give anymore, but I thought you could be my proxy. It might be a nice way for you to get some pin money. It's good for a girl to have a little cash of her own. I swallow a quick gust of anger. I used to have more than a little cash of my own, but I gave it to your son. A scrawny man in an undersized jean jacket hangs around the parking lot like a stray dog. Inside, though, the place is clean. Well lit, piney smelling, with Christian posters on the wall, all doves and mist. But I know I can't do it. Needles, blood, I can't do either. I don't really have any other phobias, but those two are solid. I am the girl who swoons at a paper cut. Something about the opening of skin, peeling, slicing, piercing. During chemo with Maureen, I never looked when they put in the needle. Hey, Khaleesi, Maureen calls out as we enter, and a heavy black woman in a vaguely medical uniform calls back. Hi there, Maureen. How you feeling? Oh, I'm fine, just fine. But how are you? How long have you been doing this, I ask. A while, Maureen says. Khaleesi is everyone's favorite. She gets the needle in real smooth, which was always good for me, because I have rollers. She profers her forearm with its ruby blue veins. When I first met Mo, she was fat, but no more. It's odd. She actually looks better fat. See? Try to put your finger on one. I looked around, hoping Khaleesi is going to usher us in. Go on, try. I touch a fingertip to the vein and feel it roll from under. A rush of heat overtakes me. That would freak me out. So, is this our new recruit? Khaleesi asks, suddenly beside me. Maureen brags on you all the time, so we need you to fill out some paperwork. I'm sorry, I can't. I can't do needles. I can't do blood. I have a serious phobia. I literally can't do it. I realize I haven't eaten today, and a wave of wooziness hits me. My neck feels weak. Everything here is very hygienic. You're in very good hands, Khaleesi says. No, it's not that, truly. I've never given blood. My doctor gets angry at me because I can't even handle a yearly blood test for, cholesterol. Instead, we wait. It takes 2 hours. Vicky and Rose strapped to turning machines like they are being harvested. They've even been branded on their fingers, so they can't give more than twice in a week anywhere. The marks show up under a purple light. That's the James Bond part, Vicky says, and they all giggle. Maureen hums the Bond theme song, I think, and Rose makes a gun with her fingers. Can't you old biddies keep it down for once, calls a white-haired woman 4 chairs down. She leans up over the reclined bodies of three oily men, green-blue tattoos on their arms, stubble on their chins, the kind of men I pictured donating plasma, and gives a finger wave with her loose arm. Mary! I thought you were coming tomorrow. I was, but my unemployment doesn't come for a week, and I was down to a box of cereal and a can of cream corn. They all laugh like near starvation is amusing. This town is sometimes too much. So desperate and so in denial, I begin to feel ill. The sound of blood churning, the long plastic ribbons of blood coursing from bodies to machines, the people being, what? Being farmed? Blood everywhere I look, out in the open, where blood isn't supposed to be, deep and dark, almost purple. I get up to go to the bathroom, throw cold water on my face. I take 2 steps and my ears close up, my vision pinholes. I feel my own heartbeat, my own blood. As I fall, I say, oh, sorry. I barely remember the ride home. Maureen tucks me into bed, a glass of apple juice, a bowl of soup at the bedside. We try to call Nick. Go says he's not at the bar, and he doesn't pick up his cell. The man disappears. He was like that as a boy, too. He's a wanderer, Maureen says. Worst thing you could ever do is ground him to his room. She positions a cold washcloth on my forehead. Her breath has the tangy smell of aspirin. Your job is to rest, okay? I'll keep calling until I get that boy home. When Nick gets home, I'm asleep. I wake up to hear him taking a shower, and I check the time, 11:04 p.m. He must have gone by the bar after all. He likes to shower after a shift. Get the beer and salty popcorn smell off his skin, he says. He slips into bed, and when I turn to him with open eyes, he looks dismayed I'm awake. We've been trying to reach you for hours, I say. My phone was out of juice. You fainted? I thought you said your phone was out of juice. He pauses, and I know he is about to lie. The worst feeling when you just have to wait and prepare yourself for the lie. Nick is old-fashioned. He needs his freedom. He doesn't like to explain himself. He'll know he has plans with the guys for a week, and he'll still wait until an hour before the poker game to tell me nonchalantly, hey, so I thought I'd join the guys for poker tonight, if that's okay with you, and leave me to be the bad guy if I've made other plans. You don't ever want to be the wife who keeps her husband from playing poker. You don't want to be the shrew with the hair curlers and the rolling pin. So you swallow your disappointment and say, okay, I don't think he does this to be mean. It's just how he was raised. His dad did his own thing, always, and his mom put up with it until she divorced him. He begins his lie. I don't even listen. I feel like this book does some really good foreshadowing. We're going to pause right there. Next time to pick up, it looks like Go and Nick are going to have a hell of a conversation. Full disclosure, you can probably see I'm sweating. It is hot where I record in my office, for lack of a better word, and the phone just can't handle the heat right now. It's hot. So we're going to stop here, and we'll pick up next time. Thank you so much for tuning in and stopping by. We'll see you next time.